Recording. All right. So the first question that we have here, and I believe this week is also included for your upcoming quiz. So I think it will be really helpful to hands down practice these questions that we have here. I expect similar kind of questions are going to come for your quiz as well. Okay. All right. So let's have a look at the first question. An interior design project of 6 months has budget at completion of 2,200. After first 3 months, the earned value is $13,000, while the estimated cost to complete the work during the mentioned schedule is $14,000. The actual cost of the works completed after 3 months is $15,000. So there are a few information given to us in this paragraph. So first of all, the budget to completion is given for the project. And after 3 months, the earned value is given, and the estimated cost to complete is another way of saying the planned value. So the planned value is given to us, and the actual cost that has been incurred during executing the work has been given to us. So with all this information in hand, I would like you guys actually to try to solve this yourself. So you have to calculate the estimated cost at completion, schedule performance index, and variance at completion. If you don't remember the formula, excuse me, if you don't remember the formula for all of this, feel free to go back to your lecture notes and have a look at this. So first try to find what are the values that you need to find, say EAC, estimated cost at completion. So in order to find the estimated cost at completion, you need to know the actual cost, which is given to us, budget at completion, which is also given to us, earned value, which is also given to us. But the only extra thing that you need to find is the cost performance index, which is the ratio of earned value divided by actual cost, right? So once you find all the values that are needed to find EAC, just put it in the formula and then you can find the value of estimated cost at completion. So I'll give you some time to try and solve this yourself, and once you get your answers, we'll check the solution whether you got it right or not. Okay, so I'm going to give you, so it shouldn't take more than 5 minutes, but let's say let's try to get some answer within 5 minutes. Okay, can you do that, or do you guys want me to show the solution, or do you guys want to try it yourself? Can I get some response from you guys so that I know what you guys want out of this, and we can do the workshop accordingly? Can you give us a few minutes? Okay. Thank you very much, Terry and Emiliano. So sure, feel free to look into the slides and get the formula. I'll give you some time. Um, Budget at completion. Yes, Jin, the budget at completion is given to you in the question. It is 2,200. Sorry, 22,000. So your earned value is 13,000. Your planned value is 14,000. Actual cost is 15,000. And your budget at completion here, it's not in an abbreviated form, but the whole term budget at completion is 2,200. Yes, our plan value is 1400. So here it is written that while the estimated cost to complete. So estimation is done as a part of planning, right? So the planned cost to complete or the estimated cost to complete, same thing, 14,000. Did anyone find? Okay, can you guys tell me, in order to find estimated cost at completion, you need to find CPI. Um, okay, Terry got it. So let me have a look. EAC is 25,380. 25344 is in the solutions. Okay, so we came up with this. So Mohammed and Terry, both of you guys are right about the EAC. So this actually query came up yesterday's workshop session. So in order to find estimated cost at completion, you first have to find the okay, let me just show the solution for everyone to have a look. So just hang on. Um, all right, so here is the solution, and you will see that the EAC over here is 25,344, while you guys got a bit of a different value, and this is completely fine. So what happened is, in order to find estimated cost at completion, you need actual value, which is given to us in round figure, and you need to know your budgeted completion, which is also given to us, earned value, which is also given to us. But the tricky part is you have to find the CPI. So when you find the CPI is earned value divided by actual cost. Now you will see that the number has been rounded up here to 2 decimal points, so 0.87. But if you actually divide this number, it comes as, I think, 0.866666. So if you round up this number, then your EAC will be a bit higher. But if you don't, or just let me check, okay? So if you round it up, I think, yeah. So if you round it up to 2 decimal points, your EAC value will be, yes, a bit different. So this question I'm actually going, because if you get MCQ questions, then you might get confused, right? Because if it is in your final exam, I guess, the lecturers, they can see your numbers and they can justify your way of solving and can give marks for this. But if you get MCQs, then you might get confused. So I'm aware of this problem. So I'm going to email Ali and Sauradip regarding this, and I will ask them to update on Moodle. So make sure you check out your Moodle for any updates, so that they can guide you whether to round it up this number, or if your normal just directly using Excel or calculator is fine without rounding up. So don't worry about this. I'm sure I'll ask them to clarify by end of, maybe on Monday or by end of today. I'm just waiting for another workshop session we have in this evening so that I can get all the questions together to get their response. Okay, so don't worry about that. But yeah, your EAC approach is right for Terry and Mohammed, both of you. So it's close enough. Um, all right, so once you get, so this is how you get your estimated cost at completion, right? And next you also have to find, what other do we have to find, right? Let me have a look at the question. So next you have to find your schedule performance index, which is SPI. Yes, and SPI, you can directly just divide your earned value divided by planned value. Now, if you look at the question, the planned value is not directly given out to you. So sometime the question might be a bit twisted. So this plan value is given out to you in a bit of a tricky way. It says the estimated cost to complete, but both means the same. So estimated cost to complete. So estimated means is it has planned before, it has been estimated before, right? So it's the same thing. So here it says estimated cost to complete the work, which is the planned value is 14,000. So just watch out for that. If you can't find the numbers directly, just try to read between the lines. Okay, and then you just divide these two numbers, which is given in the question, and you find your SPI. Now, for any index or variance, how do you know, how is this an indication of whether your project is performing good or bad? Now, whenever you find index, so indexes are ratios, right? So if the ratio is less than 1, so in this case, you can see that both these are less than 1, that means your project performance is not good. So when we are talking about schedule here, so the schedule performance index is less than 1, that means your project is behind schedule. So that is the meaning. Okay, so you need to fast track your project, so it is running behind schedule. On the other hand, when we are talking about cost, so cost performance index here as well, it is less than 1. That means your project is running over budget. So in terms of time, if we are running behind time, it is bad. And in terms of cost, if you're running over budget, it is bad. And in both the cases, when it is less than 1, it is bad in terms of time, it is bad in terms of money. Okay. All right, that was about your SPI and CPI. And one more thing we have to find in this question is variance at completion. Now, variance at completion is simply your budget at completion minus estimated, minus estimated cost at completion. Now, budget at completion, which is 22,000, is already given to us in a question. An estimated cost at completion we just found from our previous exercise, and then we put it here, and then you get a negative number here, so minus 3,344. Now again, similarly, just like index, for variances, if it is a negative value, that means it is bad for the project. If it is a positive value, it is good for the project. Now here, variance at completion is negative. So just keep in mind that even though this is talking into so this is dollar value, so we are talking about the completion time. So we are looking at the variance or the variation with respect to the completion time. So even if this is dollar value, so this designate how oh, sorry, yes. So we are looking at variance as completion. This is dollar value and this is negative. So this means that a project is running over budget, right? So that is how this variance and index signify the performance of your project in terms of time and money, whether it is doing good or bad in terms of time and money. Okay. Is there any question regarding the first exercise? No? Yes? All right. If there are, okay, I still don't get the value of EAC. Okay, Emiliano. So for EAC, these are the values that you need. So so you know what is the actual cost? I'm getting EAC as 23571. So can you tell me what is your CPI value? 0.933. I think that's where your problem is. So CPI should be 0.8666 or 0.87. Yes. So I think for SPI, you are taking the value of SPI here. So, but it is cost performance index. So the difference in SPI and CPI is in the denominator. One is actual cost and the other one is planned value. So you have to consider the planned value. Can you try to do it again by using the actual cost? I'll wait for some time. Okay. Okay, great. So now you can plug in that value to the equation and you can find EAC. So can you, okay, point 0.8, I think it should be 0.866666. So try to round it up to 2 decimal point, 0.87. and then you can find ESC value. But again, as I told you, I'm not quite sure if you can directly use, because in exams when I use my calculator, we don't bother to round it up to 2 decimal points, and then you might get a bit of a different answer than what is given in your option in the options of MCQ. So yeah, as I told you, I'll talk to Ali about this. All right, 25384. I think it's because of this decimal points, but that's fine. Yeah, this should be the answer. But again, I will talk to Ali and sort it out. Okay, and once that this query has been cleared out on Moodle, yes, then you will be able to get the exact number that the lecturers are expecting. But the approach is right. All right, let's move on to the next question. The next question is similar to the first one, but a bit more information. Okay, so let us have a look at the second question. So you are managing a residential construction project with planned duration of 12 months. So the total project duration is 12 months. The planned value of the project for each 3-month duration is shown in the table below. So we have a project of 12 months, and a project is split up into 4 parts. So for the first 3 months, different values are given. For the next installment, different values are given, and so on. So the planned value for the first 3 months is given in the table. The actual project cost, here the actual cost, and the percentage of completion for the corresponding duration are shown in the table. Now, for the following information shown in the table below, calculate the schedule variance, cost variance, SPI, CPI at the end of 6 months. So this is something that you have to keep in mind. At what point of time you want to find all of this index and variance, right? Comment whether project is within schedule and budget. And as I told you, just by looking at the positive or negative variance, or if your index is lower or greater than 1, we can say whether the project is over budget or under budget, running ahead of schedule or behind the schedule. So we'll do this together. All right, so have a look at the table here. So a couple of things that you have to keep in mind. So what are the information that has been given to us? And as I told you, sometimes the planned value is directly given out to you as planned value, or in the question, it might be disguised as the estimated cost. So whatever it is, so you have to understand that anything estimated or planned is same thing. So the planned value for different timeline is given to us, and the percentage of completion for the first 3 months and the next 3 months is given to us, and the actual cost for the first 3 months and the next 3 months is given to us as well. So we have to find, so basically in project monitoring, so say we are progressing, so this was something which was planned, and we are progressing with the project, and say at 6th month, the manager want to check how the project is performing in terms of time and money. So he or she want to calculate all of this index and variance and want to comment on the project performance. So can you guys try to do it yourself? And again, I'll show you the solution later on. So a couple of things. First of all, again, in order to find all of this planned value, or sorry, all of the index and variance, what do you need? What data do you need, right? So first of all, you need budget at completion, right? So how can you find the budget at completion? So budget at completion is what it says. So what is the budget when the project is completed? So for that, what you can do is, can you guys guess what to do in order to find the budget at completion? Let's exercise our brain a little bit. Right? From the data given, how can you find the budget at completion? 500,000. Yes, Mohammed. So how do you find 500,000? Just by adding up all these values. So we find budget at completion. What other value do you need apart from the planned value and actual cost for finding the variance and index? So we need earned value, right? So how do we find earned value? Say for the first 3 months, how do we find the earned value for this? So let's fill the table here. So let's say we have this data. We have another row here. Yes. So earned value is basically, so we know that this is the actual spending that has been made in the first 3 months. Okay, so let's get back to let's have a closer look at the entries here. So the planned value was actually what was estimated or what was planned for the project before we actually started working on the project. So this was just based on some assumptions, and actual cost is why. Just a minute, Jin. So actual cost is what is actually being spent. And oftentimes we'll see that the actual spending might be a bit higher than the planned value because there will be, of course, some uncertainties that we might not be able to foresee during the planned value, okay, during the planning time. So this is the actual spending. And earned value is basically what is the actual worth of the work done. So we see here that the 20% of work is completed. So earned value for this period will be 20% of the total budget at completion. So earned value is basically how much of the total budget at completion worth is for the first 3 months. So earned value, as Mohammed has rightly pointed out, so for the first 3 months, it will be 20% of 500,000. And in here, it will be, the earned value will be 25% of 500,000. So that is your earned value. So what is the worth of your work done compared to the total budget estimate, total estimated budget? So that is your earned value. Okay. Right. So the earned value for, okay, let me, yes, Mohammed. So the earned value for the first 3 months is 100,000. And what is the earned value for 3 to 6 months in this period? 25% of 500,000. Yes, and can you, I'm just getting a bit lazy here. Can you guys give me the number? Yes, 125, oh, sorry, 125,000. So that is your earned value for this period. Now, so our question here is to find the all of this index and variance at 6 months. So in order to find this index and variance at the end of 6 months, what you have to do is add up what mean of, okay, oh, sorry, Jin, coming back to your question, earned value is equal to budgeted completion. No, Jin, earned value is equal to 20, say for example, earned value for this period will be 20% into the budget of completion, and earned value for this period will be 25% of, or 25% into budget at completion. Okay. So when you do 25% into budget at completion, which is 500,000, then you get 125,000. Anyways, I'm going to show the solution very soon, Jin. Just hold on. So whoever is trying to give it a go by themselves, I'm just giving them the opportunity now to do it. And just hold on. I'll show you the solution very soon. Okay, so since now we know the plan value actual cost for both this time. So can you guys find the total earned value, plan value, and actual cost at the end of 6 months, right? So we just add it up. So can you guys tell me what is the total, say, first of all, what is the total plan value at the end of 6 months? 171,000, yes. And what is the actual cost at the end of 6 months? Okay, yes. Actual cost is 175,000, yes. And what about your earned value? Yes, so earned value is 225,000. Jin, okay, just hold on, Jin. The numbers are not coming up right. Okay, yeah, so you forgot to add the 50,000. Yes, yeah. So we get 225,000 as our earned value. So now, since we have all the values that we need at the end of 6 months, so the schedule variance is, okay, so for schedule variance, it is earned value minus planned values. So yes, Mohammed, you're right. So it's 54,000. And then next we have to find SPI. So what is the SPI? Schedule performance index. Just the ratio, right? 1.32, that is right. Okay, hold on, Emilian. I'm going to show it. I think, Mohammed, you're very, very fast, but it's okay. What about the cost variance? So cost variance is earned value minus actual cost. right? 50,000. And what about the cost performance index? 1.28. Good job, Mohammed. I wish I had a cookie to give it out to you, but yeah. Anyway, so now for anyone who is getting lost, this is very, very simple. I think you guys are a bit lost because you don't have the formula right in front of you. But for your exam, you will have the formula, so you just have to know how to put the data in the right place. So anyway, let me show you the solution now. All right. So this is the solution. So very, very straightforward. So it's always a good idea to put the values in a form in a tabular form. This will be easier for you guys to solve. Anyways, so first, if you look at the question, you can just open your question on another screen. Unfortunately, I can't show both at the same time. The question is somewhere else. Anyway, so in the question, you were given the cost of the planned value at different timeline. So when you add those up, then you get the total budget at completion, right? And this is something we need to find the earned value. Now, again, if you look at the question or if you look at the table given in the question, then you will see that for the first 3 months, 20% of work is completed. Therefore, the earned value for the first 3 months period will be 20% of the total budget at completion, and you get this 100,000 value as the earned value in the first 3 months, right? And for the next 3 months, the percentage completion is 25%. So if you want to find the earned value for this period, the second 3 months period, then you have to multiply 25% of the budget at completion and you get 125,000, right? So now, what do you need to find this variance and index? So you need to know your plan value, you need to know your earned value, and you need to know your actual cost at the end of 6 months. So this is what we need. So for the plan value, you simply just add up together the plan value for the first 3 months and the plan value for the next 3 months, and you get this number. And similarly, sorry, there's something in the chat. Why not earned value is equal to da 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 da? Well, Jin, this I'm not sure what you want to say, but earned value, you don't have to go in this many complications. I'm not sure about the formula that you have put in the chat, but it's very straightforward to calculate the earned value. You just multiply the percentage completion into the budget at completion. That's it. That's your earned value. And I'm not sure about this formula. You might be wrong or you might be right. If someone can help me out with this, then please do. But you don't have to, don't make it complicated. The details are given to you. Just use what has been given. Because BSc is right. Thanks, Victor. That is what I have been trying to say here, Jin. So the budget at completion is given to you. Your percentage completion for the first 3 months is given to you. So why do you want to complicate things? You can just multiply this with this. So how did you get this 111,000? How did you get this number? And why are you multiplying it with, sorry, oh, this is your planned value. How did you get this planned value? Oh, you mean why you are, because budget at completion means what is the budget when you are completing the project, right? So, okay, now I get what your question is. So let me take you back to the question to clear out your query. So, okay, sorry, hang on. So I think your question, Jin, is why not 20% into this, right? To find the earned value. Because the formula says, so your earned value is, okay, so if you want to translate what your earned value is in plain English term, so it will be earned value is how much worth of work done, or how much worth of work has been done in the first 3 months compared to the total total estimated cost. So that is what earned value is. Now, if you ask me why is moon spelled as MOON, that is something which I can't explain. Well, that is what it is. So earned value is how much worth of one in the first 3 months compared to the total estimated cost. Therefore, if you translate this into formula, it will be percentage completion into the total budget at completion at the end of 12 months, not at the end of 3 months, compared to the total budget at completion. So when you want to find earned value, so it is 20% off or multiplied by total budget at completion. So you need to find the total estimated cost of the project at the end of 12 months. Okay? Is it clear, Jin? How much work have done means in total work. Yes. How much amount of work has been done in the first 3 months in comparison to the total work that has to be done. Okay? Yes. All right. Let's get back to the question. Sorry, the solution for this. All right, so yes, so we already found all these values here, right? Or did we? I forgot where we were. Anyways, so at the end of 6 months, you want to find your plan value. So you just add up what is the plan value for the first 3 months, what is the plan value for the next 3 months, and you get this number. Similarly, for the actual cost, this has been given to us in a question. What is the plan value? So this is just a cumulative. Okay, so we are just this is for the first 3 months and this is for the totality of the 6 months. So we are just adding up for first 3 months and the next 3 months and we get this number. Similarly, for earned value, we have found the earned value for the first 3 months. We have found the earned value for the next 3 months. If you add these two numbers up, you will get 225,000. So once you have all these numbers, and then once you know all the formulas for the variance and index, just plug in this number and you get the result. So you can see that the schedule variance is earned value minus planned value and you get a positive number. I'll get back to this, what this signifies. And then we have your schedule performance index as just a ratio of what you used here. Earned value by planned value, just ratio of this. And you get number which is greater than 1. And similarly for cost variance, you get a positive number. And for cost performance index, you get a number greater than 1. So, Emiliano, why do we calculate SPI and CPI if the question does not ask for it? Really? The question didn't ask? Oh, okay, let me get back to the question. Well, okay, let me get back to the question, but there is no harm in having extra data. But it does ask in the question, right? In the question, it says you have to calculate the schedule variance, the cost variance, the schedule performance index, and the cost performance index. Yeah. All right. But anyways, even in your exam, that's all right. So even in your exam, so if you are, just asked to find, say, if the project is over budget or under budget, it's always good to say, for example, just by looking at the schedule variance, you can say how the project is performing in terms of time. But anyway, this you can additionally also find SPI, and also you will see that the trend is similar. But it's always good to have more index and variance to just to show how your project is performing. Anyways, so now we got these numbers here, so we want to know what they signify. And as I told you, for variance, anything that is positive is good for your project, and for index, anything that is greater than 1 is good for your project. On the other hand, for variance, anything that is negative is bad for your project, or anything that is less than 1 is bad for your project. So now here you see that since the schedule variance is positive over here and SPI is greater than 1, or you can just calculate any one of this to find how your project is performing in terms of time. But unless we have both the values here and both are greater than 1 positive value, that means your project is ahead of schedule. That means your project is performing quite well in terms of time. Similarly, for the cost, your cost variance is positive, your cost performance index is greater than 1. That means your project is under budget, meaning that you are spending less than what has been planned, and this is a good sign. So we want to spend less money and we want to be ahead of schedule, right? So this is good sign for the project. Also, just a note that just because schedule variance is positive doesn't mean that your cost variance will always be positive. Sometimes it is possible for some project that you're doing quite well in terms of schedule, but you might not be doing good in terms of cost variance. So there is no relationship. I mean, there can be some relationship between this two. For example, if you want to, speed up the project, then you might have to spend more. But anyways, there is no definitive relationship that both has to be positive or negative. There is nothing as such. So just keep out an eye for that. If in your exam one is positive and negative, make sure that you put the or tick the right value. Okay. All right. Any question regarding question number or exercise number 2? Is it all clear? A yes or no will do, so that we can move on to the next question. Clear. Okay. Thanks, Emiliano. All right. Let's move on to the next question. Let me get back to the question file. All right, question number 3, again, similar cost performance index and cost schedules index, but here the project has been divided into 2 independent activities. So we are presenting different scenarios here. So let us have a look at this exercise. So you are managing a project which is into 6 months of its execution. So similar to the previous one, we are 6 months into its execution. You are now reviewing the project status and you have ascertained that project is behind the schedule. Okay. The actual cost of activity A and B are 200,000 and 100,000. So we have a project here, and within the project there are 2 different activities, activity A and B. And the actual cost or actual spending for activity A is 200,000 and the actual spending for activity B is 100,000. The planned values of these activities are 180,000 and 80,000. Now, just by looking at these numbers, we can see that we are spending more than what has been planned. So the plan was to spend 180,000, but in reality, you have spent more than this number. So now activity A is 100% complete. Okay. However, activity B is only 75% complete. Now calculate the cost schedule index and cost performance index of the project on the review date. That means after 6 months. So you have all this data given to you. So you have your actual cost, you have your plan value, and so now you have to you see that activity A is 100% complete, while activity B is only 75% complete. You have to find the CSI and the CPI. So try to do this. Of course, you will need earned value, so you will have to first find the earned value. And I'll give you some time to think about this. Okay, so maybe 5-6 minutes. And let's see if you guys can find the solution to this. Just a small hint here that might help you to find the solution. So, okay, just hang on. Oh, someone already. Can we combine them together to calculate? No, Terry. So that's the tricky part here. So in here, you have to consider activity A and activity B as independent projects, because it doesn't say that these activities are not being carried out together. So you have to treat them as independent. So activity B will be say one project, and activity A will be say one project, activity B will be another project, at least to find the earned value. And then later, once you find the so similar to this, first you have to find the earned value for these individual activities, and then you can add it up together to find the total CPI and CSI. So activity A and B you have to consider as independent projects, and then the actual cost for activity A is given to us which will also be your budget to, the plan value has been given to us for activity A and B, so which will also be your budget to completion for activity A and budget to completion for activity B. Jin, so earned value is planned value because we have done 100% of the work. That's right, Jin. So this is for activity A, right? So good job. Now you're catching up. So earned value is equal to the planned value in the case of activity A because 100% of the work has been done. So what about activity B? So this is another reason why we are treating this independently, because just by looking at the question, we can see that activity A and activity B are independent, right? Because activity A has been completed, B is still going on. So earned value for activity B, what will be? 75% of what? Yes, Emiliano. So um, I'm not sure how you got this number. Uh, Oh, Mohammed, you took 75% of sorry, 25% of the actual cost, but you have to take 25% of the planned value. Sorry, I was looking at the previous question. Sorry about that. You have to take 75% of the planned value because planned value is the budget to completion here, right? Not the actual cost. So Emiliana, you're right. So the for activity B, your earned value will be 60,000. Yes. Okay. So now you have your for activity A, you know what is the planned value, what is the actual cost, and what is the earned value. And similarly for activity B, you have what is your planned value, your actual cost, and earned value. Now, once you find all of this, now you can add it up together to find the total planned value, total actual cost, and total earned value for the entire project. So can you do that? So what will be the total planned value for the project? Mm, 24. Victor, can you try to do that again? I think it should be 260,000, the planned value. So the plan value, let me have a look. So it's 88, right? So it's 180, yes, 180,000, so 180,000 plus 80,000. So it should be 260,000, right? So what about your actual cost? What will be the actual cost of the entire project? Yes, the actual cost is 300,000. So the actual cost is this plus this, which will give you 300,000. Now, what is the earned value for the entire project? Yes, this is right, Victor. So the actual cost, the earned value for the entire project is 240,000. So whenever you get question like this, be it segregation into months or be it segregation into activities, find all the values for individual segments or individual activities and then add it up together because it makes more sense as well, right? Even in the previous question, you saw that this percentage completion was for 3 months and this is for 25 months. So in order to find the earned value, you have to multiply this with the total. So similarly for, but you said we shouldn't combine. No, I'm talking about the previous question, Emiliano. No, I'm saying that we shouldn't combine. Yes. So we shouldn't combine. So what I'm saying is you have to find it for individual. So even in this case, we found it for individual and then we add it up together later because the question here, so even in the third question, if you see that this question we want to find for the entire project. If the question here was asking what is the CPI CSI for the individual activities. Sorry, Victor, we shouldn't combine when we calculate. Yes, Victor, that is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so let me finish what I'm trying to say and maybe it will be more clear. Right. So what I'm trying to say here is when you're finding the earned value or plan value, usually the plan value and the actual cost will be given to us. Most of the often time, the percentage completion will be given to you, and you will have to find the earned value. So what I'm trying to say is whenever you find the earned value, you have to find it for individual periods or individual activities, but then later on you have to add it up for the entirety of the project. So that is what I'm trying to say. But in this case, right, so in this case, if the question was, now always watch out for the question, a little a little bit of tweak here, say instead of project, if it says that what is the CPI and CSI for activity A, for the first activity, then you have to consider the values only for activity A. But since here the question is asking you what is CSI and CPI for the entire project, so now you have to add up the cost, the plan value, the actual cost, and the earned value for the entire project. Okay, there is a question from so is it one project including two activities? Yes, yes. So in this question, these two activities are running independently. So activity A and activity B are happening independently, but it is part of the same project. For example, say in a building construction, there is simultaneous activity of, say, constructing the wall, okay, and plastering the floor. So constructing the wall has nothing to do with plastering the floor, right? So both of these activities are part of the same project, but they are not related. They are happening individually. So say, for example, activity A is for constructing the wall and it has been completed 100% at the end of 6 months. And activity B is, say, plastering the floor, and plastering the floor is sorry, Emilian, I'll get back. Plastering the floor is has been completed only 75% at the end of 6 months. That is the scenario. Now you have to find the CSI and CPI for the entire project. So individually for both these activities, you find all the values that you need for the CSI CPI, and then you add it up, and then you calculate it for the entire project. I'll show you that in table in a while. So we do add up. Yes, yes, Terry. So we do add up the earned value, the actual cost, and the planned value because the question is asking for the entire project. And then you find the cost schedule index and the cost performance index. Emiliano CPI, yes, Emiliano CPI is 0.8. And did you also find the cost schedule index, CSI? CSI is earned value square divided by AC into PV. So CSI is 0.73. Yes, that's right, Terry. So anyways, I think it's quite clear to you guys, but I'm quickly going to show the solution for anyone who is still struggling to get the concept. All right, so let's jump into the last table. So we have two activities, activity A, activity B. So for both these activities, this is given in a question. We have the plan value for activity A given in the question, plan value for activity B given in the question. We have actual cost for activity A given in the question, actual cost for activity B given in the question. And percentage completion is given as well. Now we have to find the earned value for these individual activities. So in the first case, 100% is completed. So 100% of the total budget to completion, or in other words, in this case, it is the planned value is same. So 100% is completed. So it's 180,000. And in for activity B, 75% is completed. So 75% into total budget to completion will give you 60,000. And now for the total, for the entirety of the project, you just add up both these planned values to get the total planned value for the project, both this actual cost to get the total actual cost of the project, both earned values to get the total earned value of the project. And once you get this value, so you are going to use these values to find the CPI and the CSI. So CPI is just earned value divided by actual cost. So earned value over here divided by actual cost, it will give you 0.8. And CSI is earned value square divided by actual cost into planned value. So this square divided by actual cost into planned value. So this is 0.73, right? So by looking at this cost performance index and schedule index, do you think the project is doing good or bad? Is it more than one, less than one? So clearly we can see that it is less than one. So is the project doing good in terms? Right. So it is doing bad, right? So because the index is less than one, so it is doing bad in terms of schedule and in terms of cost. Or in other words, you can be a bit fancier and you can say that the project is behind schedule and also the project is over budget. So yeah, um, all indices should be more than one to be successful. Yes, Emiliano. So if the index is more than one, that means the project is successful, or in other words, it is performing well in terms of whatever the index refer to. Say, for example, cost performance index. If it is greater than one, that means the project is under budget, or we are spending less than what has been estimated. And similarly, if the cost schedule index is less than, or sorry, is greater than one, that means we are uh, behind schedule. That means we are spending, sorry, what was I saying? Yeah. So if the cost schedule index is more than one, that means the project is behind schedule. And if the cost performance index is more than one, that means we are um, spending less, so we are under budget. So in this scenario, we are over budget, yes, and behind schedule. Yes, that's right. So yes, this is what we can infer from the numbers here. All right, so is there any question regarding question 3? Okay. If there are no questions, then we are going to take a bit of a break from all the calculation. All right, Terry. We are going to take a bit of a break from a bit of a calculation, and we are going to do some discussions. Okay. Let me take you back to the question. All right. Question number 4. A scenario will be presented to you guys, or a project briefing will be presented to you guys, and then we are going to discuss various scenarios, and you have to identify if these various scenarios are within the scope of this project or not. Okay, so let us have a look at the project description. Your firm has been awarded a contract for the renovation and retrofitting, also called addition and alteration project, for an existing 5-story academic building meant for medical research. So this is our keyword, renovation and retrofitting. So there can be different type of contracts. So here you have to keep in mind that we are not taking up a contract of coming up or constructing a new structure, but our contract is about making some changes, making some alteration to an existing project. Okay, so this is the scope of this work. Now, the project involves studying original design documents. That means the original design documents that were used to construct this house, or sorry, the construct this medical research facility, and prepare new architectural, mechanical, electrical, and structural design for retrofitting, ensure compliance with local standards, and submit the design to the authority for approval. So, meaning within this project, we are going to look at some of the old design documents, and we are going to do some new designs or new modifications of the architectural, mechanical, electrical, and structural parts. Okay, and also we have to make sure that whatever new designs we come up with, whatever new alteration we are coming up with, they will have to comply with the local standards. Now we know that be it your building standards or fire standards, whatever, or there are like standards for everything that you can imagine. There are standards for fire alarms, sprinklers, walls and wind loads and glasses and everything. So, and all of these standards, they are updated from time to time. So whatever new designs that whatever new modifications you're making, you have to make sure that it comply with the local standards, and this will be submitted to the authority for approval. So only once the authority approves, then you can make modification to the design. And I know, just a little bit of a fun fact. So in Australia, even if you have like a big tree in your backyard, so even to cut down the tree, you have to take permit from the council. Like for a small, garden and grass and all, it is fine. But if there is a moderately large, like medium to large size plant in your backyard or your front yard, you actually have to take approval from the authority, from your council. So anyways, so we are talking about designs here. So you have to get approval from your authority. Now, the building includes auditoriums, dry and wet research labs, classrooms, meeting rooms, dry storage, toilet, and pantry areas. So, this is the project or the contract that we have. Now, there are some scenarios presented to you, and you have to identify whether it falls within the scope of the project or outside. Okay, so I would like your participation in this, and let's have a look at the first scenario. So the first scenario is during the planning and design phase, the client asks your architecture team to redesign a previous dry lab space into wet lab space. Now, do you think this is within the scope of this project? So now we are talking about some renovation activity. Within, right? Yes. Anyone else willing to or disagree with Emiliano or agree with Emiliano? Okay, so everyone agrees, I guess. So this is within the scope of the project, right? So redesigning the space is part of addition and alteration project. So as long as the newly designed space is within the building, because we are talking about the main research building. So as long as this newly designed space is within the building, and no major changes are made into the project that will have a major influence on the structure of the project, the structure of the building. So this is within the scope of the project. All right, second one, I hope more of you guys can participate. So the second one is during the design phase, your team has been requested to upgrade the fire alarm and sprinkler system according to revised code for fire safety. So do you think this is within or outside the scope of the project? Mhm. Okay, yes. So this is, yes. Thank you, guys. So this is within the scope of the project, right? So whenever a building is retrofitted, we have to ensure that it complies with the revised local building and safety code. So usually such changes are also reviewed by authorities during the design submission stage, and approval will be necessary before the construction start. So yes, and we know that this not on break. Okay. Oh, Mandakini. Hi, are we on break? I can't hear anything. No, Mandakini, we are not on break. We are in the middle of our workshop, so try to fix your microphone because yeah, I hope you can hear what I'm saying. Anyways, so I think it's a she, Terry. We can't. This reminds me of this episode from Friends, Ross and Rachel on break. Okay, never mind. So coming back to, by the way, are you guys following? Okay, just let's take a quick break. Are you guys following the US election? Um, yes or no? Eh, Not really, kinda. Yes. Okay. What do you guys think, Terry and Victor? Who is going to win? Or do you guys see a clear win, or do you see that there is still like a 50-50 chance for both the candidates? So the two candidates that are running or that are in the race are Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Joe Biden, a crazy person against an old grandpa. I think higher chance for Biden. Yes. So right now, I think Biden is a bit ahead in the race, although Donald Trump kind of declared victory, I think, yesterday. So yeah, and there are still some ballot counting going on. And also in US, it's a bit more complex, more unpredictable because they have this electoral college, right? So even though you win by popularity, if and also Donald Trump is challenging, or he's telling that he will go to the Supreme Court, and you know that in the Supreme Court, majority of the judges are on his side, so you never know what's going to happen. It's very interesting, and I feel like US politics does influence the course that the rest of the world, follows. So I hope, yeah, the best person win. Yeah, how can you nominate three judges in one term? Yeah, Terry, that's politics for you. So, yeah, so with the recent addition of Amy Barrett Cohen, if I'm right, her name. Yeah, so the Republican Party has majority of the judges on their side in the Supreme Court. So if this does go to the Supreme Court, we don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, may the best person win. Okay, I hope your speaker or your microphone is working now, Mandakini. So, Terry, I feel like that if Trump gets elected, the pandemic won't get eased. Yes, and we also, everyone is kind of waiting for the tr vaccine trial to get back the results from vaccine trial. I think that the human trials are still going on, and hopefully by end of this year, yeah, the vaccines will be there, hopefully. Yeah, cause he will just say to people not to worry about it. Yes, that's right. Um, that's right. I mean, but at the same time, people also need to be a bit smarter. We shouldn't just blindly follow what the politicians are saying, right? Don't think vaccine's gonna work because the virus get mutated for so many vaccines of variances. Oh, well, I'm not quite sure. Yeah, maybe you're right. Um, and also, I think even if there are vaccines, to vaccinate the entire population of this world, it is going to take a long time. So, yeah, it's very uncertain, unfortunately. Even I think that, in order to ease out this pandemic, it might take a couple more years. And yeah, it's quite sad, especially for us. Like, I'm an international student here, and I'm not quite sure when will I get a chance to see my family. So it's a bit, yeah, couple more years of online study. Uh, yeah, I hope I can see you guys very soon, like face to face. I hope Australian government puts some kind of system in place to get back international students. But I think they will have to, right? Because the Australian economy is dependent on um, revenue from overseas students. Today we had the first day with zero cases. Oh, is it so, Emiliano? That's good news. Okay. Yeah, I think Australia, New Zealand, we are doing quite well. India, it is crazy. Some part of Europe crazy, and US, we all know how it is. So yeah. Anyways, hopefully things will get better very soon. All right. Let's Nepal. Oh, is it so? I'm not quite following all the countries. Let's hope the hotel guards are more disciplined. Yes. What about China? If anyone is from is in China right now, any updates? Okay. There's no pandemic in China. Okay, I think China is getting better. Okay. I think, yeah, you guys, yes, China, they're doing quite well in controlling this, right? Oh, zero cases in China. Right. That's impressive, very impressive. All right. All right, let's get back to our workshop. Okay. So, right. So we were in our second scenario. So every one of you agrees. Yes. All right, that's good. Everyone is awake now. Okay. Right. So, um, yeah, you know what? That's a good suggestion, Emily. So since yes, it's 8 a.m. You're Mandakini, you're in Nepal, right? So yes, so from whenever you have workshops and all, since you guys are staying at home, just grab a coffee and just relax. And even I have a coffee which got cold, but yeah. So that's the perks of no, Emiliana, I wouldn't suggest it because then you'll be all blurry and it might be problematic in your exam, right? So you might not remember everything that we discussed. All right, let's get back to our workshop. Um, the second one, we all agreed that this is within the scope of the project. because a part of this renovation work is to upgrade, the fire alarm and sprinkler system. As we saw in the project briefing, that this is part of the renovation work, and it has to be done according to the revised code for fire safety, right? So yeah. What about the third one? The client requests your team to construct a new floor as a sixth story for accommodating staff offices. So your job is to renovate, and yes, yes, this is outside the scope of the project, and this is not part of your work. Our work here is just to renovate the building, and this is, this kind of request might come from the client side, but yes, it is talking, but if you do so, if you construct a new additional floor on the sixth floor, yes, then this is going to have an impact on the entire structure of the project. So it is going to have an impact on the columns, the foundation, and we are not quite sure, right? And also this is, of course, within this outside the scope of renovation work, but also apart from that, whenever there is this kind of expansion of the project, it is important to analyze, what how the foundations like were constructed, what is the load bearing capacity of the columns and all, and therefore this is clearly outside the scope of this project. Scenario number 4, the client's structural team mentioned that the retrofitted building would have, okay, Emiliano, I still think it's within. Well, Emiliano, I won't, because our scope clearly says expansion, retrofitting, and here this is construction of a new floor over here. So this is, so retrofitting is essentially on an existing floor, you just do some modifications. So to construct a new floor is outside. Well, if the client asks, of course, the customers are God, as the saying goes in India. So your client, of course, will have the final say. But for the sake of this course or for the sake of your exam, whenever you are asked this kind of question, I think it is safe to say that this is outside the scope of the project. Because of course, in real life, depending on the client and the project, the your team and the expertise of your team, things might change. But for the sake of this course, I would say, like, if the brief is to retrofit or renovate an existing building, then whenever you're asked a question like this, to construct a new floor, I would say it is safe to assume that this is outside the scope of this project. Okay. All right. Statement number 4, or scenario number 4, the client's structural team mentioned that the retrofitted building would have a new MRI machine on the third story. So this is within the building. Therefore, the floor plates need to be strengthened. So your team need to design and retrofit the existing floor plate. So do you think this is within or outside? Anyone else? Yes. Okay. So yes, this is within the scope of the building. So strengthening of existing floor plate is within the job scope, right? So how can there are different alternatives available for floor strengthening. So there can be, you can put some polymer sheets, or you can put some additional reinforcement or steel plates. So you just have to make sure, while doing this, of course, this is within the scope of the project. Also, we have to make sure that any structural change made to the floor structure must not increase the loading on columns beyond the permissible limit. Okay, this is something that we have to keep in mind. So you see that the building multiplex is retrofitting in circular key. No, Emiliano, I'm not quite sure. I haven't been to the city for quite a while now, so no. Can you share more information about this project? Hmm. Okay, sure. Okay, that will be helpful. So meanwhile, let's get back to our next scenario. Okay, so scenario number 4, we all agree that this is within the scope of the project, right? So scenario number 5, there is a request to repair and retrofit part of the car park, which is in the block next to the mentioned building and used by the building occupants. Yes, this is clearly outside. Yes, this is clearly outside the scope of the building because even though the building occupants, building that we are the occupants of the building that we are renovating, they're using this car park, but this car park is in another block, so clearly this is outside the scope of our project, right? Emiliano, do you want me to wait for you, or are you okay with me carrying on? Okay, I think he just lost his connection. All right. Number 6, the facility manager mentioned that the retrofitted building would have a new central AC, and therefore your mechanical and electrical team need to change the ducting and electrical system. Okay, thanks, Emiliano. So you guys can let me quickly click onto this link. Oh, Quay Quarter Towers in Sydney. Thanks, Emiliano. So, okay, sorry. Quakewater Tower is a 50-story commercial building that will offer 90,000 square meters of premium grade office space. Mhm. Okay, so is it a new construction or are they renovating this? Status says under construction. Okay, we went last year with Dr. Stephen Davies and Robert Holdham. Okay, it's an ongoing project. Right, okay, okay. Yes, I think in this discussion, oh, I think Robert Holdham and Stephen Davis, they take quite a lot of project management related courses, right? I took two of Holdham's courses during my master's and one from Stephen Davis. Yeah, quite actually their courses I feel are quite similar to what we have in this course, construction management related courses. Okay, so sorry, coming back to what we were discussing. So yeah, state scenario number 6. So do you think, or did you guys already answer this? Yes, you guys already answered, sorry. So this is within the scope of the project, right? So um, I think in this particular project, project that we are discussing in the workshop, it's mostly about renovation work. So let us have a look at the question one more time, just to see the clear difference between a new construction project and the scenario that we are discussing here. Yes, I think it is mainly alteration project, addition and alteration. But when it says addition, this is not addition of a new floor, but addition of some features in the existing floor. Okay, because it says an existing 5-story. So we are making some additions and alterations to an existing 5-story building. So we are not looking into expanding the structure. We are not looking into expanding the car park, or we're not looking into expanding the floors. But whatever 5 floors that we have in this academic building, we are trying to bring in some new additional features, and we are making some modifications. That is what the project is about. So keep this in mind when we are looking at the scope of different scenarios. Okay, get back to the question. All right, so scenario number 6, we all agreed that this is part of the project, so this falls within the scope of the project. So number 7, your architecture team is requested to redesign the landscaping around the building, including a new meeting space and green area. Yes, so this is outside the scope of the project. Yes. Um, it's all right, Emiliano. I think, yeah, I understand because it might be because you have some practical, this, I feel like whatever we are discussing in this course is quite black and white, but I know where you're coming from, because I believe you have some experience in the construction field. I also have some experience in the construction field, and I see that, oftentimes out in the real world, the textbook information are not followed to the T, and there can be some changes and modification from, yes, think of it as you want to change more. Yeah, so in the real world, depending on the client's need and the expertise available in a project, um, yes. No, I'm not. No, Leon, I'm telling this from my own experience. I'm not trying to sugarcoat it, but yeah, I feel like in real world things are a bit different. But at least for this course, for the sake of this course, yes, especially for the MCQ to test our ability to manage, yes, Mandakini. I think for this purpose of this course, it is a bit of a black and white approach. It's like yeah or nay kind of approach. So yeah. Multiple choice question, Terry. This is what you do in your quiz, right? So, all right. Where were we? So number 4, it is within the scope. Number 7, your architecture team is requested to redesign. Okay, sorry, already we discussed it is outside the scope of this project because it says around the building, right? But we are looking into only the main building. Number 8, the client's quantity surveyor revised several budget items, and therefore some of your original proposals on strengthening the floor plate need to be changed. So earlier we saw how on the floor you have to install an MRI machine, and for that the floor plates need to be strengthened. So the floor plates, this budget proposal that you gave, okay, it's within, yes, it is within the scope. I'm just trying to, yeah, let me elaborate. So the budget proposal that you gave, maybe it's a bit over budget. So the quantity surveyor is asking you to make some changes. So this is well within the scope of the project. In this case, you will have an approach what is known as value engineering approach. I think you guys have heard about it. So value engineering approach is basically doing a bit of a brainstorming or market survey to find what are the various alternatives available in the market. In this case, we are looking into strengthening the floor plate. So what are the various floor strengthening options available, and then there will be a bit of a brainstorming session, which is the most cost-effective option, and you can implement that in your project. So this is within the scope of your project, right? Okay, I think for most part of this question, you guys did pretty well. Okay, so we have how many more questions? Let me have a look. Okay, Jean has a question. What is the criteria to determine which scenario is within scope? Jean, I would say in order to know whether it is within the scope or not, read the question very carefully. So say, for example, if the question says construction, so let me take you guys back to the question. I think all the information are hidden here itself. So if you are not quite sure about something, just read this question for the second, third time, and then things will be more clear. Say, for example, if the question was a bit different, say if it says your firm has been awarded a contract for constructing, okay, instead of renovation and retrofitting, if it says construction of a new medical research facility, then then an expansion of a building, then a construction of a new floor, and all of those will be within the scope of the project. But in this question, it clearly says renovation and retrofitting. Renovation and retrofitting are basically making some, as I told you, making some changes to the existing building floors. Therefore, anything that says like addition of a new floor, addition of a new car park, or making a new landscaping outside the building, so all of this will fall outside the scope of this project. And also there are some more information given to you. For example, say electrical work, mechanical work. Therefore, when we are talking about this new electrical, new air conditioning system, then you know that this falls within this electrical scope. So this falls within the scope of the building. Okay. Is it clear? So everything, yes, all the information will be hidden here. Okay. Say for example, if also it says the building includes da 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 da, and also maybe some say rooftop garden over here. If it says in many buildings there are, So there are quite a lot of buildings. When I visited Singapore, I saw there are quite a buildings with vertical, jungles and also like rooftop gardens and all. So if the building includes, say, a rooftop garden, then maybe landscaping of the rooftop garden will be included within the scope of this project. But the one scenario that we have here about landscaping, yes. If you read the question carefully, this says around the building. So this is not within the building, this is outside the building, right? And our question says over here, our question says within the existing academic building. So that will be outside the scope of the project. So if you're confused, go back to the question briefing, read it again and again. I mean, if your company does building project, it's quite unlikely that they know how to pave the car park, right? Well, I would actually disagree with that, because there are companies, especially the one that I was working in. So I was working in a hospital construction company. So within that hospital campus, there are residential blocks, classrooms, and hospitals, and also car parks. And the hospital complexes are quite large, so we also have some pavements and all within the complex. So all of those were actually include all of this expertise were available in our firm. So it depends from company to company. But if it is mentioned here, so as I told you, just look for some hints here. If it is mentioned here, that will be within the scope. If it is not, it is outside the scope. Okay. All right, so let's move on to our last question. Is it so? Let me check. Did I miss anything? Just hang on. All right, so we have six. Yes, last second, sorry. Yes, question number 5 and 6. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure that I think one time I missed one question, which you guys reminded me. But yeah, okay. Question number 5, last second question. Your team has been awarded a project to design and construct a 10-story hospital building, which includes structural, mechanical, and electrical design, construction, commissioning, and installation. Your team also need to identify vendors and procure materials, mechanical and electrical components, train facility management staff on building management system, and maintain documentation of the same. So this is the project brief. This is the project timeline. The project is set to start on 2nd January 2021 and finish on 2nd January 2024, so approximately 3 years. All the design documents are to be submitted to the local authority for approval, and the client has set a target date in December 2021. So our project started on 2nd January 2021, and we have to submit, or we have to get the approval from the local authorities by 10 December 2021, right? So we have approximately 11 months together to make all the designs, to make all the design drawings and submit it for approval to the authority. Now, the construction activity must start no later than 20 Jan 2020. So keep in mind this timeline. So December 2021, we get the approval, or we submit it for approval, and 20 January 2022. So just like a month, a little over a month, to get all the approvals and start construction work. So this is our timeline. After the project finishes, a 1-month training period for the building management system is scheduled. Emiliano, it should be 28 2021. No, actually, Emiliano. So what is happening here is from 2nd Jan, I thought the same, and yesterday actually I sorted this out with the students in yesterday's workshop. So what is happening here is from 2nd Jan 2021, or let's just take out the numbers. From January 2021 to December 2021, we are making the design, and then from December 2021 to next year, January 2022. We have 1 month's time to get all the approvals and start the construction activity. So yeah, that's what is happening here. So after the project finishes, a 1 month training period for the building management system is scheduled, and the final handover date is set on 4 Feb 2024. So 2nd Jan 2024 it will be done, and 4 Feb 2024 it will be handed over. The training is aimed to familiarize staffs with the operational and troubleshooting features of different building systems. So now, okay, some more information. The project has experienced a few issues, including challenges with scheduling, vendor identification, and training. Now, based on this scenario, identify which of the following issues are top priority and which are low priority. Also describe how you may potentially address such issues. So different scenarios has been presented to us. And now again, by looking at the project briefing, um, you have to identify which of the scenarios we have to tackle with a top priority and which of the scenarios can be low priority. And if it is top priority, how are you going to address these issues? Okay. So before we start discussing this, just keep in mind that any scenario that is going to have a major impact on the project schedule, the timeline of the project, and the budget of the project will be considered as top priority. Okay, and the rest of it, if it can be sorted out internally, then it will be considered as low priority. So now let's have a look at the first, or do you guys want, I'll give you guys some time to go through the question again so that you can absorb all the information. Okay, so I'll give you guys 2 to 3 minutes to read this question again. Okay, I hope that was enough time for the question. All right, now let's look into the first scenario. The first scenario says one of the vendors for mechanical systems informed about the delay in supplying the goods, which would push back the project finish date by 2 months. So, do you think this is a top priority situation? Okay, Emiliano says top. Okay, so we all agree that this is a top priority situation, right? Why is it a top priority situation? 2 months delay, because yes, because this is affecting, yes, 2 months is a lot in construction. So um, usually when this kind of delays occur in a project, so there is something called liquidated damage. So liquidated damage is whenever a project is delayed, the contractor will have to pay a liquidated damage amount, which is a hefty sum that will have to be paid to the client as a penalty for the delay. Okay, so therefore, any such issue which is likely to extend the project finish date must be addressed on a top priority basis. Okay. All right. So the question also says, how are you going to handle this kind of issues? In order to handle, in this case, the problem should be immediately conveyed to the client. The client should be informed about this situation. So, and also, so when you inform the client, there can be two scenarios. Okay, so the client can ask you to look for alternate vendor. So you might look for an alternate vendor. We can supply this stuff on time, or the client might be okay with this delay. In any case, you will have to inform the client so that you don't have to pay the liquidated damage amount at the end when you are handing over the project to the client. So once the client approves the appointment of a new vendor, and it will happen through tendering, any impact on the project budget and schedule also need to be communicated to the client. So all in all, the client will have to be aware of the situation, and either you can go for getting a new vendor which can supply your materials on time, or the client can be okay with this delay and you won't have to pay any liquidated damage amount even if there is some delay. Okay. So scenario number 2, the client has requested some changes in the design after initial approval, which would delay the authority submission date by 2 weeks. So you know that we only have 1 month time to submit your drawings and to get the approval so that you can start your construction on time. But what is happening here is the client has made some last minute changes in the design uh, after the initial approval. So you submit your design, you get some approval, and then there are some changes made from the client, and this is going to delay. This is going to make a delay of 2 weeks. So do you think this is a top priority situation or low priority? Hmm. Emiliano says low. Jean says low. Okay, just keep in mind we're talking about December here. So what happens in December? Yes, Christmas, New Year, a lot of holidays. Mhm. So, okay, so keeping in mind the timeline, so even if it's tricky, right? So if you look into the timeline, so um, December is the time to get the approval. So we already got the approval, but if the client is making some last minute changes, especially during December, then there can be a lot of holidays, and this 2 weeks anticipated delay can go on for longer. So I think, or what is provided to you in the solution, is that this is a top priority situation. Okay. Top but declined. Yes, yes, Terry. So I'll get back to that. So this is top but declined. So let me, you will get the solution later. So what it says in the solution is this is a top priority situation. So it says that although you have 1 month between the design submission date and the construction start date, do note that these dates are in the month of December and January period. So delay in the design submission by 2 weeks may lead to a longer delay in the design approvals during the holiday period, and also during the holiday period, that is Christmas and New Year's time. So this would impact the overall project schedule. So in this case, this is considered as a top priority situation. So what can be done here is that the client should be notified of the possible delay. In such cases, the client is likely to approve the delay since the delay change request came from their side. So what Terry is saying. Okay, so if the client, so there can be two situations here. So first of all, we now understand why this is a top priority situation, right? Especially because of the timeline that we are talking about, the December period. So this, although it is anticipated for 2 weeks, actually the delay can go on for quite long. So that's why it's a top priority. So what can be the situation? Sorry, although the statement doesn't mention the possibility of being more than 2 years. Yes, I guess it doesn't mention, but you just have to anticipate that part. I think that's the reason why the specific, the date is given to you in the question, right? So for your examination purpose, this is always good information. And even if the date is not mentioned, I would say in the question, uh, getting approvals from authorities, it can be tricky. So even though we say 2 weeks, it can take longer, right, to get the approvals from the authority on time. It hardly happens. So I would say this kind of situation, anything that is going to have a major impact on the project timeline can be considered as top priority situation. But if you still disagree with this, I would say put it up on Moodle or because I think Ali said this question, or if you want me to send an email to Ali, then I can definitely ask him about this. But do you still don't agree that this is a top priority situation? So if the date is not a New Year and Christmas, is it a low? Good question, Jin. Um, I would say if we just look into 2 weeks, it's not that big a deal. But as I told you, delay from the so this is basically authority getting approval from the authority, and this is something which we don't have a lot of control upon. So it's a good question. I will get back to you guys, or I'll ask Ali about this, and I will ask him to upload this on Moodle as well. So now we have two questions to ask. This is question number 5. So I will ask, I think this is low if you can do something to this. So I will ask this situation to Ali. So I'll ask if it was not during the Christmas time, will this still be considered as a top priority situation, right? So that is a question, right? So I'm going to ask this, and I'm going to ask him to update it on Moodle as well. Is there any Q&A section for you guys on Moodle where you can directly post question to the lecturers? Usually courses do have. Okay, so do you guys want to post there this question so that you get the answer right away? Or do you guys want me to email him? Which one is more convenient for you guys? I'm happy with either. In general terms, everything in the construction industry is urgent and top priority. Yes. Okay, Jin, so you want me to email? Okay, fine. So I'll email him and I'll ask him to update it on Moodle, okay? All right. Mohammed, no design approval means a halt in the construction. Yes, Mohammed. Yeah, it's a bit tricky. I'm a bit confused over here because 2 weeks doesn't seem like a lot, but yeah, given the timeline, this is definitely for this particular situation, this is a top priority, but I'm not sure if it was any other time of the year, if it will still be considered as a top priority. I'm not quite sure about that. Because honestly, oftentimes when you submit to the authority for approval, there are like huge, long delays. So yeah, um, more on this later on Moodle, okay? But for this particular timeline, this will be top priority, just to be clear. Okay, so anyways, we were talking about how to handle this kind of issues. There can be two things. So if this is considered as a top priority, if this is going to have an impact on your overall project timeline, so there can be two scenarios. So obviously you will have to inform the client about how this is going to improve the timeline of the project. So there can be two scenarios. The client can be okay with this delay because the request has come from their side, as Terry, you mentioned. Or on the other hand, the client might not be wanting to, uh, you know, delay the project. So in that case, what can be done is so that 11 months time that you have for design and for submitting the approval, maybe you can work, maybe the designers, they can work some extra hours and they can try to finish the first draft as soon as possible so that any late modification later on can be done within that 11 months window. Okay, so there is another scenario. But of course, the client will have to approve of any of the scenarios, whatever the client is okay with. Um, Number C, the project is running within budget. Okay, good for us. However, to keep up with the schedule, your team members are doing overtime for 3 months. Your company's accounting team has questioned the overtime payments being charged to the project. So even though there is some overtime work, we have to keep in mind that the project is within budget. So do you think this is a top priority situation or a low priority situation? Right. Yes. So this is a low priority situation because if this is an internal issue within the company and it can be addressed through communication. And moreover, we have to remember that the project is running within the budget even after considering the overtime pay. Therefore, this is not a serious concern. Just some maybe clearance needed from the management side about this. So yeah, this is a low priority situation. Now, scenario number 4. Around November 2023, the client informed you that few of the facility management staffs would not be available for training until 28 Feb 2024. Now, this is again something which I don't quite agree with the solution, but anyway, um, what do you guys think about number D? Right? Even I thought so, top priority. But in the solution, it says that it is a low priority situation, and let me read it out. Why? So this is considered as a lower priority situation because assigning, it says in the solution, assign team personnel to check with the client and the facility manager on the available dates for training, set up a revised training schedule accordingly after checking on logistic and availability for the trainers. So according to the solution that has been provided to you, it says that this is a low priority situation, meaning that whenever the staffs, all the facility members, management staffs are available, then we just have to reschedule the training period. So yeah, what do you guys think? Do you agree with the solution or not? So again, looking at the timeline, it says that around November 2023, they won't be available until 28 Feb 2024. Now let us have a look at the question. F 2024. Now it says that the handover date is 4th Feb 2024. So definitely this is going to have some impact on the handing over period, right? So logically, this should have been um, a top priority. Mandakini, pretty low and high. If there is conflict between Ali's and our solution and approach, this might affect us on quizzes and exam. A similar situation, quiz 1. What shall we do about it? Yes, I understand, Mandakini. So, um, okay, so again, this is another situation which I'm going to talk to Ali about. This was question number D, right? I sent an email to him about that. That's why the final exam will be open-ended question. Yeah, um, that's good, Emiliano. So question number 5D as well. Where we can explain our assumption? Yes, open-ended questions are always better, but I hope this kind of questions are not there in the quiz. So when is your quiz date? If there is still scope for him to change the question for this quiz. So what I will try to convey, Ali, is that this kind of open-ended questions, it's better if it's not there in the MCQs, I guess. Ali need to think about it. It's not fair. I know, Mandakini. Did you guys try talking to Ali about this situation? For quiz 1 and 2 are MCQs because we are like 200 students. Yes, I understand. No, MCQs definitely, MCQs are, yes, open-ended at this stage. But were there any open-ended question in quiz 1 as well? Mandakini said that there were some open-ended questions, right? So what I will try to convey Ali today evening, is that some of you guys struggled, or some of you guys don't completely agree with what is provided in the solution, and rightly so, I understand. So maybe this kind of questions can be included in your final exam rather than in the quiz, to give you the opportunity to explain your assumption, right? Um, Emily, and I believe we should get open-ended question for both quizzes. As international students, we should cover this. I know. I mean, I did. Okay, I'm on recording. Anyways, okay, shoot me. I did work with Ali on another course last term, and it's all right. I mean, freedom of speech, right? I did work with Ali on another course, and actually there were no MCQs, and I did set the questions for the quiz, not this course, another course with Ali, and I did set the questions. Oh no, sorry, Ali did set the question. I set the question for some other course, but they were open-ended question, and I no, 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 Emily, and I have nothing to do with the quizzes in this course, not at all. But yeah, I did, check like open-ended questions for another course for the quiz. So, Jin, it will be open-ended in the final. So in the final, you will get an opportunity to discuss. But yeah, I think this, even I don't like MCQs and all. It's so tricky. It just mess up with your mind, and it's yeah. Oh, thanks, Mandakini. uh, yeah. Did you do any other course with me? Thanks. Thank you, guys. All right. But yeah, I have been tutoring for quite a while now, but I did yeah, I think you guys will get okay, I'll get back to your question, Terry. But you guys should definitely, so you will get UNSW survey option, right? So at the end of this course, definitely put up these issues. Even I feel like, especially in project management kind of course, there can be different scenarios, and it varies from project to project, even in country to country, systems changes. So either the course should be very clear that we are talking about the Australian construction industry, or are we talking in terms of an international context, right? So there is something that should be mentioned right at the beginning of the course, so that the students are more clear when they are giving out the answers. So I will try to, I am sure Ali will take some feedback from me and Hamid, the other tutor. So I will definitely try to convey this message to Ali, but also from your side, um, you can definitely put it up in the survey section when you're asked to comment about it. Okay. All right, but yeah, question number B and D, even I don't quite agree with the solution, so I will talk to Ali and I'll try to get some clarification from him. I wish this course also had some answer code standards for Australian, New Zealand code standards for project management. Just subjectiveness would have been reduced. Yes, I understand, Mandakini. Um, I'm not quite sure uh, about the scope of this course. Yeah. So I did this course. Sorry, I'm digressing a little bit from the discussion, but anyways, this is a 3 hours workshop, so I guess we are fine with the time. But yeah, I did this course with another lecturer before. Yes, Emiliano. So we are not going to run for 3 hours. The last 1 hour since last week. The last 1 hour is for consultation, but it's okay. So we can digress into a little bit about that. But yeah, I did this course with another lecturer. His name was also Ali. Unfortunately, he left UNSW. But yeah, so that time the course content was a bit different from what it is now. So I'm not quite, so this is also new for me. I'm teaching this course for the first time for Ali, so Ali and Sauradeep. So yeah, but I'll try to talk to them about this. Anyway, if there are some analysis question in the final, I hope open exam. I think, Jin, you mean if, yeah, I think the final exam will be open book examination, and it will be more like a open-ended, the questions will be more open-ended questions. All right, let's get back to our workshop. Um, Question number D, conflicted, but according to the solution provided, it says that this is a low priority situation, okay? All right, number E, hopefully we all can agree on this one. So during testing the billing management system, so it is a software, the appointed vendor complains that the list of system errors is very long. So do you think this is a top priority? So when we talk about top priority, yes, low. So try top priority situations are those situations where you need to involve the client, and you need to have some serious discussion with the client. So yes, yes, Jin. So D is low priority situation, and Number E. So what do you think this is? Low priority or top priority situation? So this Vivian says low. Anyone else agree or disagree with Vivian? Yes. So we can all agree that this is a low priority situation, like right? Because it is common to experience some bugs and system errors during testing of a new building system. So this is acceptable as long as the quality of the project is not seriously impacted. So in this case, what can be done to sort out this issue is the team in charge should ensure that all the troubleshooting has been resolved before this is handed over to the client. So we don't have to involve the client for this kind of issues, right? So we just have to make sure that the system is running well and fine before we hand it over to the system, before we hand it over to the client. All right. This D and E are low, aren't they? Yes, Emiliano. So D and E both are low. So far we have just came across two high priority situation. This is the first one where it is going to delay the timeline by 2 months, and second one where it is going to delay, according to the question, by two weeks, but there is a possibility of longer delay. So far only these two are top priority, and all the other, if you see that there is a common trend, all the others, even this with the overtime charges, this can be resolved by just talking to the HR people, accounts people. So this can be resolved internally. This also says can be resolved internally, just by rescheduling the training dates. And this also can be resolved internally by just, removing the bugs before handing over to the client. So anything that can be resolved internally without involving the client is a low priority situation. Okay, so last one. Two mid-level employees from the structural engineering team resigned, and due to understaffing, the structural construction work would be delayed by 3 weeks. So low priority or top priority? Yes. Okay. Anyone else that agree or disagree with Emiliano? Vivian? Okay, both of you guys think that this is top, and yes, this is a top priority situation for sure. So because this is going to have an impact on the project timeline, so this is a top priority situation. So what can be done? Um, so let me read out the question. Most, if not all, of the mechanical and electrical system installation and commissioning are dependent on the structural construction, right? So evaluate the dependencies and assess the impact of this on the overall project budget and schedule. Implement fast tracking or crashing of project tasks possible. I'll explain what this is. Overtime hours may be considered subject to client approval. Simultaneously look for potential candidates to fill in the vacant position as soon as possible. So we all agree that this is a top priority situation. So why is this a top priority? Because if there is some delay in the structural work because of these two mid-level employees leaving the team, then structural work are also connected to electrical and mechanical work. So delay in this can lead to delay in other aspects of the project. So it is important to consider how this is going to impact the other areas of work, right? So what can be done in this situation is either we'll try to fast track. So before leaving, so maybe these employees, they can finish their work, we can crash the work, we can fast track the work so that it can be completed on time. Or alternatively, what you can do is you can look for new employees to replace these two employees that left, right? Okay, that was question number 5. I know there are some confusions, and hopefully Ali will help to clarify it later. Okay. So let's have a look at the last question that we have here. This is relatively simple, very simple exercise. A building project has a budget of 700,000 for employing construction laborers, excluding a contingency fund of 50,000. So now what is contingency fund? So think of this as that extra layer of cushion. So if you guys have been to any circus, or if you have seen any gymnast, working out, then you know that there is a cushion. There will be a cushion. So we hope that in the circus, the people won't fall down, but in case if they do, so there is this extra layer of cushion for protection, right? So this is what contingency fund is. So the 700,000 is allocated for as a budget for paying the laborers, but also an additional 50,000 is provided as a contingency fund. We won't like to use it, but in case of emergency we can use this. Okay, so all the budget that will be used for paying the laborers and nothing else. So all of this 750,000 will be used to pay the laborers, and this is 100% for paying the labor. So that is what it means here. It is estimated that the project needs 20,000 man hours of labor to complete over 2 years. It is 10,000 man hours each year. So however, for the entire second year, the per hour rates of construction labors need to be increased by 10% due to unexpected protests and strike. Now this is when there is some unexpected increase in the pay. This is when your contingency fund will come in handy, right? So as a project manager, do you foresee any issue with the manpower budget in this case? Justify with calculations and clearly state any assumptions that you make. All right, so we have two scenarios here. Scenario one, in the first year where there were no problems, so you have 700,000 budget, and you have 20,000 man hours divided over a period of 2 years. So you carry on by considering these numbers for the first year. And what happened in year two, that is scenario two, is there were some unexpected protests and strike, and due to this, 10%, there was a 10% increment in the per hour rates. So you have to see that if this extra increment is protected by this cushion or not. Okay, if this is within this contingency fund, it is all good for us. If it is not, then there might be some issues. So let's have a look at how. So I'm not going to solve this for you. I'm going to give out hint. Let's see if you can do this yourself. So 20,000 man hours. Yes, Mohammed. Hold on. Don't give out the numbers yet. Let everyone get an opportunity to solve this. So, in the first year, it is 10,000 man hours. So, can you tell me what is going to be per hour rate for first year? So, this is our total budget. This is our man hours. And in the first year, there is no such issue. So what is going to be the per hour rate if everything is going smoothly in the first year? Sorry, yes, 35. So did anyone else get this number? 35? So we just divide the total fund available to us divided by the total man hours, right? Because in the first year, we are not anticipating any unexpected rise. So we are just using our normal fund and we are just dividing it with the total man hour. So yes, what did you do? Why did you divide it by 2, Jin? You have to divide it with 20,000. Oh, you mean for the first year, the total fund available, right? Yes. So in the first year, the per hour rate will be 35, or in other words, the total amount of spending for paying the laborers in the first year is 35,000, right? Yes. So what happens in the next year? In the next year, there was 10% increase. That's why I asked you to find the per hour rates, because for the second year, we are going to increase the per hour rates by 10%. So what happens when there is a 10% increase in $35? So how much is it going to be for the second year? It's 38.5, right? So for the first year, we have so for the first year, sorry, first I said 35. For the first year, we have 350,000, and for the second year, our per hour rate has increased to 38.5. So what is going to be the total labor cost for the second year? So if you multiply this with 10,000, yes, it is going to be 385,000 for the second year, right? So what is the total labor cost for the entire project? for 2 years. So it is going to be 730. Oh, kind. Um, okay, kind. How did you get 685? Can you explain it to me? Okay, I'll show you the solution. Yes, Emiliano. In fact, our total manpower cost for labor is coming up as 735,000. So if you just add add up 35,000, sorry, 350,000 from first year and 385,000 from second year, then you get a total value of 735,000 as your total cost. And you can see that we have a contingency of this much. So as Emiliano has pointed out, we in fact have $15,000 to spare. So there is nothing to worry about. It is covered within the contingency fund, right? So all good for this project. Is there anyone who still don't quite get what we just discussed? Okay, Jin. So let me show you the solution. All right. So this is the solution. So what we have in the question is we have total budget of this much without the contingency for 20,000 man hours, right? So, okay, the assumption that we made here is we are assuming that all the labors are paid equally. So that is one assumption that we are making here. So you just divide this by this to get the hourly rates. Now this is the hourly rate for the first year. So therefore for the first year, we have 10,000 man hours for the first year. So just 35 into 10,000 will give you this number. Now what happens in the second year, that there is 10% increase in the hourly rate. So if you increase 10% increment to 35, it will give you, so of course, we all know the basic maths. So do this and you get $38.5 per hour. So this is the rate for the second year. So again, the total amount of money spent for paying the laborers in the second year is going to be 38.5 into 10,000, because this is the man hour for the second year, and you get this number. Okay, so this is how you get it. And so if you add these two numbers up, then you get this 735,000 as your total cost to the laborers. Okay, and this is going to and this is less than the total budget we have, including the contingency. Therefore, there is nothing to worry about. Is it clear, Jin, or is there still confusion? So this is basically 100. So this number is 110% of 35. So it is coming out to be 1.1 into 35. Okay. All right. This is it for today's workshop. Now, as I told you, a couple of questions that came up in the last consultation and also during the workshop. Okay, so there was one question from this student. I don't think I have the question, but yeah. So let me read it out. Okay, the question. I think I have a picture of it in my phone. Just hang on. Right. So there was a question in your first quiz that which of the following options is incorrect with regard to responsibility metrics, that is Rashi metrics. I'm sure you remember the question. So the question from the student was that for this particular MCQ, the options are not quite, the solution is not directly given out in the lecture slide. And I did look into the lecture slide. Sorry, let me stop the recording before I start.